America built Alcatraz to keep dangerous men inside. Yet some of the island's most enduring stories aren't about prisoners who escaped. They're about the reports that continued long after the cells were emptied. Rising from the cold waters of San Francisco Bay, this is Alcatraz. Welcome to Something Stayed Here. Some places don't tell you they're haunted. You feel it when you arrive. Long before Alcatraz became America's most notorious prison, it served a very different purpose. In the 1850s, the island was fortified to help protect San Francisco Bay. It became home to the West Coast's first operational lighthouse. Later, it was used as a military prison. Only decades after would Alcatraz become something far darker, a place not built simply to contain prisoners, but to isolate them. In 1834, Alcatraz reopened as a federal penitentiary. Its purpose was simple: house inmates considered too dangerous or disruptive for ordinary prisons. Among them were some of America's most infamous criminals: Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Robert Stroud. But the prison's reputation wasn't built on famous names. It was built on isolation. Cells measured roughly 5 feet by 9 feet. Days became routines. Routines became years. And for some inmates, the punishment was psychological as much as physical. Some former prisoners later described hearing sounds drifting across the water from San Francisco, music and laughter, the distant reminders of ordinary life, close enough to hear, but impossible to reach. For men serving years behind bars, those sounds became a reminder of everything waiting beyond the island, and everything that they couldn't have. The most feared location on Alcatraz wasn't occupied by a famous criminal. It was D Block, the prison's isolation unit, and one particular cell became the center of its most enduring legend. Cell 14D. Former inmates described it as unusually cold, unusually oppressive. According to one long-standing story, a prisoner locked inside spent the night screaming that something with glowing eyes was sharing the darkness with him. The following morning, he was reportedly found dead. Historians dispute elements of the story. Evidence for the supernatural claims remain weak, yet the legend has never disappeared. In 1946, violence erupted during what was known as the Battle of Alcatraz. An escape attempt turned into a 2-day gun battle inside the prison. Several men were killed, others were wounded. The uprising was eventually crushed. But the event added another layer to the island's history, another layer of fear. Alcatraz remains surrounded by stories decades after it closed. One of the most unusual stories connected to Alcatraz involves music. Al Capone reportedly practiced the banjo in the prison shower block. He believed it was safer than spending recreation time elsewhere. Years later, visitors and guides began reporting the sound of distant banjo music in the same area. Whether coincidence, suggestion, or something stranger, the story continues to be told today. Another legend centers on the Warden's house. According to accounts repeated over the years, guests attending a Christmas gathering reportedly witnessed a strange figure appear before suddenly vanishing. But like many Alcatraz stories, the tale endured long after those who witnessed it were gone. Perhaps the most famous mystery of all arrived in 1962. Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin escaped from Alcatraz using homemade tools, paper mache heads, and a raft constructed from raincoats. They disappeared into the night. Their bodies were never found. Officials concluded they likely drowned, yet the mystery remains unresolved. One final unanswered question from the island already filled with them. The prison closed in 1963, but Alcatraz's story didn't end. Between 1969 and 1971, Native American activists occupied the island for 19 months, drawing international attention and helping ignite a new era for indigenous activism. Even after the cells emptied, the island continued to shape lives. Perhaps that's why Alcatraz remains so compelling. Not because of the ghosts, and not because of the legends, but because every generation seems to leave part of its story behind. The soldiers left, the prisoners left, the guards left, and the activists left. Yet visitors still arrive with stories, still leave with questions. Maybe that's simply history refusing to be forgotten. Or maybe some places absorb more than memories. When the last boat left Alcatraz, what, if anything, stayed behind? If you enjoyed exploring this place with me, this has been Something Stayed Here.